If you woke up tomorrow a billionaire, what would you do with the money? Disappear. Yeah, I would do a lot of things, but first I would effectively disappear. Probably head to the nicest hotel in NYC and find well-known legal, accounting, and investment firms that are accustomed to dealing with wealthy people. A trust will need to be created to protect the money. Then I would leverage these business connections to personally connect with other wealthy people for recommendations for necessities like an assistant, security detail, transportation, etc. Once I've got all my ducks in a row to stabilize my life, I would embark on a journey of trying to bring positive change to the world with whatever resources I can sustainably throw at it. Me too, I'll hide at one of those 5-star Central Park adjacent hotels and use my father's name to check in. Then I'll have the concierge get me a limo to the toy store. With my very own cheese pizza. And watch how the Grinch stole Christmas. I mean, it entirely depends on whether or not people know that you are a billionaire. There are a lot of ultra-wealthy people out there that you've never heard of. Just become one of those. As long as you stay out of the limelight, your average person would never be able to tell you're not merely a well-off individual. Yep, anonymity would be dope. I'd start a business that makes silent donations and funds things doing great work. I'd hire one of the big partner financial law groups to help manage and set up protections. Set up some trusts and just live modestly. There'd be hints that I could just point to my businesses for. Like one of those digital bidet toilets that remembers your settings. A private chef who cooks all of my meals. A cleaning service that comes once a week. Oh baby, a weekly cleaning service? I know they say dream big, but take it easy there. Imagine waking up and never have to worry about laundry because it's always done. Swim in it like Scrooge McDuck. It's not a liquid, it's a great many pieces of solid matter that form a hard floor-like surface. Ah! Use a very small amount of your billion to buy a massive amount of golden phone coins and house them in a silo. Hire someone and make their entire job to manage a money pit adjacent to the silo and keep the fake gold coins at the level that if the coins were real the amount would correspond to the current value of your net worth. Swim in it whenever you want symbolically. I'm a billionaire, I don't need to buy lies. I want to swim in coins, name your price. Life hack, just melt the coin down first. Swimming's easier. Retire my parents, pay their loans, buy them each their dream car and then retire myself to a big cabin in the Alps. With some smart investing on the side. $1 billion wouldn't even need smart investing. It's an unfathomably large amount of money. It'd be a legitimate challenge to spend even a quarter of it. Even if it's in an absolutely terrible bank account earning only 1% interest, you'd still be accruing $10 million every year. Exactly, you don't even need to invest it and you are set for generations. I've always said that if it was $1 billion, I would disappear and hidden I would send $1 to all the people that have impacted positively in my life, which is like over 100, set my parents and I'd still have 80% plus of the money and already set the life of everyone I know lol. No you wouldn't lol. Glad some random guy at Reddit knows what I would do. Finally, be able to take a deep breath out from under all my worry and stress. I'd probably sleep for 2 days straight. I'd have such a hard time spending it, though. You would have to try really hard to spend $1 billion. It's so much money that you can hardly wrap your brain around it. Losing it to lawsuits and grifters is more likely. Most people can't even conceive what $1 billion is. Try it like this, if you spend $1 million by spending $1 per second it would take a little over 11 days, while $1 billion would take a little over 31 years. I think it'd be incredibly easy to spend $1 billion. For example, I know some developments that have been built where some nice scenic farms used to be. I'd like to buy everyone out of those homes and return it to a farm. Let's just estimate 80 homes at 1.2 million each to get everyone to move. That's 10% of $1 billion right away. Not including the mass demolition and new construction. And paying the lawyers to help me with this. It's easy to spend $1 billion, you just need to think bigger than what you've ever considered before. You wouldn't actually have a hard time spending it. The reason you think that way now is because as a middle-class person there are so many things you would never consider purchasing, even though you know you would enjoy it. For example, if you were to ever book a flight, you would never seriously consider booking business or first class. In fact, you probably don't even know where the button is to change from economy, because you would never actually click that button. You would never consider weekly or daily housekeepers, personal chefs, landscapers, for the house you buy, and that's assuming you don't have children. If you have kids, there's a million ways you could blow through a ton of money. You'd also really just how expensive real estate is once you start shopping around for it. Most people who have the means to do so will end up buying multiple residences. I don't think there's a single billionaire who only lives in one house. And if you want a house in a highly desirable area, it could end up costing a ton of money. Then look at the cost of traveling private. It sounds silly now because it's completely unaffordable to you, but if you had $1 billion now it becomes accessible. Same for world-class 5-star hotels. There would basically be a ramp-up period where in the first year or so you're thinking, wow, I don't know what to do with all this. But by year 5 you'll start to see how easily you could spend it all if you're not careful. With that much money, I'd only get enough to make sure my family, me, my wife and son, is taken care of for the rest of time, my wife's parents and my parents were taken care of for life, etc. The rest? I would honestly donate to charities of our choice. My wife and I came from poverty, so we've had to take risks and work harder than more privileged families to be able to make a dent toward achieving the American dream. $1 billion is an insane amount of money to us. Only a small percentage of that wealth would be enough to wipe out our debts and keep us financially secure until we die. Plus our mindset is that money is necessary to fund the necessities and essentials of life. You could buy a lot of materialistic things with money, sure, but happiness to me is seeing my loved ones taken care of in many aspects of their lives without any stress or worries. If we have enough saved for us, and our family is taken care of, I can live on the income we made currently stretched out over 30 to 50 years until I croak. So I don't need, say, the other 90 to 95% of $1 billion. I'd rather see it be put to charities that could desperately use the money to help others. Put in the bank and get ludicrous amounts of interest, so my bank balance increases at a rate greater than I can spend. I inherited a good load of money last year that I didn't know I was getting. Know what I did with most of it? Invested it long-term for that sweet, sweet passive income. Nobody even knows I have it. Hey. You're really hot. We should get married right now without a prenup. LOL. He's secretly thinking about it. My husband says it's fine if he'll iron. We both hate ironing. Was just talking to my cousin about this last night. How nice would life be if you had a steady income just coming to you every month? I like this idea. My husband and I were also barely comfortable, and we did a lot of those, if I win the lottery, what would I do, scenarios. Turns out it was a good idea. We are still not rich, but we now have a nest egg and a tiny trickle of passive income that compounds. I'd continued reinvesting all of it until I truly needed it. The younger you are, the more that reinvestment can compound. Down the line, the passive income can be crazy high. Retire early money. I'm not touching it. We are in our 30s now, and my mom retired last year. I realized just how expensive retirement can be for a very basic living, and I don't want to end up there. She even has government benefits, but it's just fucking nothing. Since I didn't know I was getting any money, and it's money I never had in my hand, I'm keeping it that way. In my mind, I'm not losing anything I didn't have before. It's just there, little numbers on a screen. I kept some of it out for myself and for emergencies, but I just want to keep it safe. The one things my husband and I have been dreaming of since we started working and trying to get out of poverty is savings. If you don't have any and have no way of saving without going hungry, then savings feel like a life changer. In my country, and my own community, savings are something a very small percentage of people have. I'm clinging to it. I would try to create some affordable housing in my city. I'd take it one step further than that and tank the real estate market in my area. I'm almost positive there's some sort of reverse antitrust law that protects landlords in the area from something like that. Maybe I'm just cynical, but it seems like most of the rules in America are geared towards protecting those who are already winning, and anything that could disrupt the status quo would be met with pushback. OP will be a billionaire, remember? Laws generally don't apply to them, and they have resources to buy the right people or hire some thugs. Bernie Madoff, as soon as you start affecting other wealthy individuals, the rules suddenly start applying. Nobody gave a shit when he stole money from the poor, but when he started fleecing the wealthy, the DOJ suddenly started taking an interest. Probably give a good portion away, and keep like 250 million. 'Cause after a certain point, does it really matter if I have 250 million or 2 billion? I'd set my immediate family and best friends up for life, and then I'd spend just about all the rest on buying and preserving wild lands and paying people to protect it. Love this. Buy habitat. It's the only way to truly conserve it. What amount is set for life? Average income is $50K a year. 1 million is 20 years of that. 5 million would set you really well at 100 years of average income. 10 million accounts for reckless spending if you really want. Move to the English countryside, buy houses for my family members, and try to help in some way. Maybe build tiny homes for homeless people. Also buy name brand food, lol. What's the infatuation with tiny houses for homelessness? I do not get this. My town just spent a ridiculous amount of money on tiny houses, and it was enough to house 50 people. The same amount of money could have been used to renovate a couple old hotels, motels into efficiencies, and would house hundreds of people. Why is everyone going for tiny houses when you can do much more good with apartments? Maybe they don't know that's an option. I surely didn't, so thank you for putting it here. Sounds like a good investment. I can explain. I've worked in social services for almost a decade, and most of that time was with the homeless. The hotels, motels that are bought and converted quickly become toxic places due to meth and fentanyl use. Addicts still struggle with addiction even if they're housed. It's absurdly expensive to keep decontaminating a motel room. A tiny home, pallet home, is a much cheaper option. Many people who are homeless are very vulnerable and unable to say no. It's basically a code that a homeless person who gets housed is expected to let people stay with them, even if it gets them in trouble with a landlord and leads to eviction. The people crashing there don't care because they'll just find another place. Having a small space that's in a secure area prevents this. Many people who have lived on the streets for a long time don't have the skills to live independently. Due to their mental health, they may fight with the neighbors, destroy the apartment, or not pay rent. If someone can learn these skills while living in a place where they can fail while learning, it sets them up for success when they eventually move into their own apartments. The last place I worked was a brand new $7 million apartment complex with everything a homeless person needed, and within 5 years it was ordered to be renovated by the health department and is costing millions to repair. I would buy a house, pay up my bills, set up a trust for my son, pay for my partner to go to college, get a reliable vehicle, and then there's this guy in my town that runs a small thrift store, food bank that has helped us. I'd give him 30 million so he could go ahead with his dreams of setting up houses for struggling people here. I'd go back to school myself and then I'd probably see who the hell I could find to get Stit the hell out of office. I'd invest in the rehab and psych units in the state and the Celebrate recovery programs. I've never been addicted, but I've worked in those environments and I would love to be able to help them more so. Then I have no idea what else I'd do, lol. Giving people that amount of money would surely show their true colors, so you better be sure it won't corrupt them. I talked to my partner about that, and I don't feel that it would, but can you ever really know for sure? He's a retired veteran who used his money to fund his shop and fund several events and pays bills for everyone he can every chance he gets. I'm not sure, but I only feel goodness from him. Please like and subscribe for more daily content.